I'm down to dunk.
And I'm down to dunk. I'm down to dunk. This is J-Dub, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Lindy Waters, and I'm down to dunk. I'm Mike Muscala, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Jay Will, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Kenneth Williams, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to dunk.
Will you say this is Lou Dort and I'm down to Dort?
This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
Cracklin Oat Bran?
Have you had Cracklin Oat Bran?
No,
No. Okay.
but it's healthy.
You're a big oat brand guy?
I'm a big Oat Bran guy.
Okay.
I think I would switch it with Fruity Pebbles.
Okay, eat faster. Don't put as much in the bowl.
You have a gallon of milk I can also take home.
You don't have milk at home?
One cinnamon toast.
Okay.
Crunch. Yeah. Cereal is great. Yeah.
Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me, hardly ever, but I wish it was more often, my good friend Tyler Parker. Tyler, what's up, man?
What's up, buddy? Man, thanks for having me. Just reveling in, the month of January, right? Been a good time to be a Thunder fan, I guess.
It's a ridiculous time.
Yeah.
I was chatting with somebody earlier, and it's like, is there anything negative you could actually say about the Thunder right now? Like,
I mean, they give up so many second chance points. They're worse than the league. That's a black eye, I think, for the league. Just the amount of second chance points they give up.
It's an embarrassment. I get personally embarrassed every time.
You can't be a respectable organization giving up second chance points.
The Thunder sit at 10th because they have the tiebreaker against the Blazers. You don't remember they beat the Blazers this year.
I know, that you even have to think about a tiebreaker is just I forgot what it's even like.
I know.
A tiebreaker in this way. Usually, I want to go low. Lately, I've been wanting to go low in the ties.
Yeah. No, it's different. This is a different world.
Yeah.
I'm still not fully there yet. I still can't fully get there. Like when people start talking about matchups, I'm like, okay, like I'm not ready. I'm not emotionally ready for that.
No.
But just to see them cross that threshold of the rankings into
I mean, I didn't let myself go there too much, but when you look, today now, Wednesday, January 18th, 12:49 Pacific, 2:49 Central, we would be playing the Clippers. in that first play. That would be, I mean, the takes would get so hot so fast. It would be so cool if that happened. But yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm not used to the altitude anymore. You know what I mean? In terms of the standings, I've gotten really accustomed to being, where if the closer we get to the middle, I get terrified and I stop even, like now it's so, it's so different. I was telling somebody the other day, it's like, this is just like, this feels like house money right now. Like I was out on the idea that I was one of the people before the season that was just sort of like, I think Shea and Giddey are just too good. We're not gonna be able to slum it down there and get into the, bottom five for, these like crazy good Wemby chances. Right. It just seemed like there was just too much talent on hand, even with Chet on the bench. And, it's been fun that's that's the way that things have gone. I mean, I don't know. I'm rambling now.
You have to have some level of incompetence to go into draft number 3 and still be in the like bottom 5. And like you're
Yeah.
seeing it with Houston. Detroit's had injuries, but there's still like a level of like, is Dwayne Casey really going to be your coach? Is that really the thing you're going to do?
It does feel like they're, patching the tire, not changing it.
Yeah. And then like Charlotte, like they've had one good draft pick and like 50 tries. And then like we know what San Antonio's doing. So like,
Right.
I mean, that's what's going on. And I don't know if you feel the same way, but I know for most Thunder fans, the fact that like things are going really well in Oklahoma City and everything is so wrong in Houston, it feels like we're double dipping a little bit, doesn't it?
It is one of those things. Like I honestly don't think about Houston that much. I really, like, as a Thunder fan, like I know that's sort of like the sort of accepted kind of rival just from the obviously you go back to the Harden trade, but then just all the Russ and Harden duking it out for the MVPs and what's aesthetically pleasing basketball and what's not, and this is how heliocentrism should be done. Nuh-uh, it's this way. And both sort of fan bases had like very could take very impassioned stances against other fan bases who were like, hey, that's not going to work.
Right.
I know Paul George is good, but it's still not going to work.
Uh-huh.
I know Chris Paul's good. It's not going to work. But then it was both fan bases experience enough success, right? That you're like, actually, y'all are stupid.
Yeah.
Y'all are dumb. And so you get that part of it. And then it turns out we were all wrong.
Yeah.
And so, it is fun that there's like this little, whatever, like rat-a-tat kind of thing. I would be lying if I didn't take a look, like I didn't like sort of giggle through the John Wall clips whenever those came out.
Yeah.
Just because like it's hilarious to think about John Wall being like, guys, you're not doing anything. And then being like, I know, right? It's awesome.
I almost released it as my own podcast, just like that clip.
It's one of those things. And it was so fun to hear Wall so candid about it. And he like not slipping into that, like I'm talking to the media. So all of a sudden I adopt this like cop in front of a mic kind of, language where he's trying to, like, he wasn't trying to be measured at all. He was just really, it was very, you felt like it was what you were getting was pure and unfiltered, which was so nice. I mean, it felt like a different kind of, sort of honest than you get from some of these dudes on pods. And certainly some of the players are, but sometimes it's some of those player pods or player appearances on pods that can almost feel a little self-congratulatory because it's like they more talk about it and congratulate themselves on how real they're being during the process of doing this podcast than actually talking about anything else. You know what I mean? And some of the pods are awesome, but it was so interesting to hear him so candid in that moment, and especially because like it checks out. Eye test says that seems like it is how it's. I mean, the story that didn't get enough press at the time, this was last year, right? That Jalen Green shot so much in the first half of that one game that two of the guys didn't even come out for the second half.
Yeah.
If that's a team that has any postseason aspirations whatsoever, that's a much bigger deal. But I think because the dysfunction in Houston was so apparent, it was almost just sort of like, yeah, man, that's just kind of them. But like it just not that it got swept under the rug. Who cares? It's not on that level. But it was just, that's a bad locker room.
Yeah.
If your, star is dominating the ball so much that guys are like, nah, man, I'm good.
Yeah. I would tell Thunder fans, tread lightly, because if they end up with the number 1 pick and they get Wembanyama, it could just like, something bad could happen to this relationship that we're having right now with Houston. So
dude, it's totally possible. And he's on the level, like, if he goes there, they're good real quick.
Yeah.
And
Well, I
like-
just think about LeBron going to Cleveland, and then like the amount of Drew Gooden basketball we had to watch after that is like,
yeah.
okay, like you can, like, if you're transcendent, you can
Yeah.
just take players that have no business being anywhere.
Right. It'd be interesting to see if it gave any life to Eric Gordon. After those, he's had some of the most depressing little press moments that I've seen in a long time. The one the other day where someone tried to tee him up for like, what improvements have you seen? There's been no improvement.
No.
He was so disinterested in the question. I'm not even sure he moved his mouth when he answered it. He was so disgusted. Like it was one of those things like, dude, this guy is miserable. That guy is miserable right now.
Yeah. Oh, he's absolutely miserable. Let's move on to this Thunder team, who's not miserable. The vibes are ridiculous right now. Everything just feels great. Shea is going to make his first All-Star team. Do you think he's going to be an All-Star starter? Because we'll know tomorrow night who the All-Star starters are. And there is a chance. I've heard some people say that they think that it should be he and Luka. I have my doubts. I don't know if that's me protecting my heart or if that's me trying to be more objective. But you can even just look at a spreadsheet of Shea and all the other guards and say it's he and Luka that have been the two best in the Western Conference, and it's not that close. I think he has been better than Ja. But
yes.
also,
I think especially when you take into account the defensive end. I mean, I don't think there's
no doubt.
I don't think there's any and I love Ja.
Yeah.
And I should also say, I feel like we should also say, you know what? I would like Houston to be good. I don't want Houston to suck. Not to go back to that. I would like Houston to be good. I would like Şengün to work out. I don't want to be shitty to Houston. It is just they would be like, Al Horford, you hated it there. You know, that's what they would. But yeah, anyways, I keep thinking about that. I'm trying to be fair. No, Shea, I think I'm with you. I think listen to Low Post with Simmons the other day. Both of them had thought that, Shea should be a lock as a starter.
Yeah.
If you're just, you got to deal with the votes. And I don't even know what the gap is right now at this point. To me, I mean, Steph was playing at an MVP level before he goes down.
Yeah.
I think Shea's been playing well enough, minutes wise, it's especially once it gets to time to actually play the game,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a big difference. And I think, Shea's better than Steph on the defensive end. Steph's not the dud that some people think he is. I also don't think he's this like wild positive that some people sometimes turn him into just because he tries hard on defense. But I think Shea is clearly better on that end than Steph.
9 more games, 400 more minutes.
Yeah, I mean,
Shea.
To me, he deserves it. I just don't know if his profile's big enough to get in there vote wise yet. You know what I mean? I think that the NBA is doing themselves a disservice based off the amount of votes the dude is getting, that they're not putting him on TV more. It's clear people want to watch the guy. It's clear that he's connecting with, fans around the league. Like he's not the approval rating's pretty sky high with him. You're not like, he doesn't have the caveats that some of these other, monsters do, right? Like Luka is incredible, but it is theatrics nonstop. It's a lot of complaining, right? Like Ja, it's the athleticism is like, at that kind of build, right? You just never see anything like it. And some of the speed even seems like it's like or maybe the quickness, like that kind of twitchy stuff seems like it might even be like next level from stuff that, has existed prior to, but with Ja, you get the like, someone is tweeting at him about like, yeah, I hope that y'all in Golden State are the Christmas game, this year or whatever. Or that, I hope that y'all play at Golden State, for Christmas this year, or whatever. He's like, no, have them come to the M. And it's like, well, Ja, that's not how it works, man. They're the defending champs. They beat y'all in the playoffs. You're going to have to go there. And so it's just, there's not that lack of awareness with Shea, you know what I mean? Yeah. That can kind of, that I think can kind of, there's, I kind of like this, the sassy, Ja, where he's like, I'm fine in the West, you know what I mean? But like Shea's you're not going to have to deal with defending that.
No, he talks about how the officials are humans,
Yeah, he plays them. He plays. I mean, it's hilarious how his calls increased after that. Deservedly. I mean, he's getting fouled.
Like you can go one of two ways. You can decide to like complain to them and like force them to make decisions because they're so annoyed with you, or you can just be like, man, did he say that I'm a person?
Yeah.
Oh my God, like what a great guy. Like
I think he's right. I think I do make mistakes. Thank you, Shea. Yeah.
I'm making any mistakes with you.
It's one of those things. It's like it doesn't feel like he's gaming the system in that Harden way. It doesn't feel like there are these like sort of ghost calls that he's getting exactly. It really feels like, oh no, they just finally started giving him the rep calls that every other superstar gets. Like they realized that, like, I think they just sort of. He finally was in the lane enough and going to the rim enough. Like it was just, he forced their hand. You know what I mean? He's just like, no, y'all don't understand. Like I am this. Mm-hmm. This is what I am now.
Yeah.
And yeah.
It's crazy to think about that he's already at this level and is going to be in the All-Star game, because it's, I try to talk about this some, just how like spoiled this Thunder fan base is.
It's crazy
to go from superstar to go from really Kevin Durant and Westbrook to Paul George and Westbrook to Chris Paul for a year, which was really fun. And then Shea is still like, he's just on the team. Like there's no gap. It was bad. Like, yes. Was it bad? Sure. But you still had him. And now you get to add players to that. It's just, it's astounding. It's not normal. Like this is not like a normal rebuild. I mean, you can look across even at like Detroit and think about the journey that it's taken them to get to this point. Is like, who was like the last like their last All-Star, I think, was Blake Griffin when he played really good for that 1 year.
Yeah, and the last homegrown dude win. Like, I mean, I guess Drummond probably.
Yeah, but Drummond.
But like, no, I'm with you. I think we've been spoiled for sure, and it as bad as it got. If you don't have Shea in the cupboard already, if that bird is not in the hand, and you're dealing with Charlie Brown Jr. ISOs, those are harder to deal with. If you don't have somebody of Shea's talent, even, and obviously I was underestimating him even at the time, but it's that they arrive with Durant and Westbrook, that they hit with Harden, and you get, because it wasn't just winning basketball, it was fun too. There's something to be said for that, just as like an experience as a fan. It's not, it was, I think in retrospect, it probably was way more grinded out than it seemed like at the time. I think at the time it seemed like, look at these guys getting out and going and stuff. And obviously in the half court, things could grind to a halt sometimes, but they I don't know. They're just the athleticism and the star power, and how much they all kind of wanted the moment. They've always had guys like that. And it's felt very, I don't think we'll appreciate how rare it is until, if after this Shea generation, if the cupboard just runs completely dry for a couple of years or something like that, right? Like,
Right.
but no, that they arrived interesting was not nothing. You know what I mean? And to it said a ton about where the organization was whenever Carmelo was like, yeah, I'll waive my no trade to come there. Like that was a gigantic, in retrospect, it doesn't, because there wasn't, some, deep playoff run associated with the move. It's kind of not, maybe it's not remembered as much, or maybe I'm just, I guess I should just be talking about myself, right? Like maybe I just don't remember as much. But
It felt like a real moment, because
it's a big deal.
Because I thought there's no way Melo ever comes to OKC like that. Would it be cool? Yes. Was it cool? There were definitely some cool moments.
It was cool up until Dre got hurt there for a little while. Like
cool until then, and then in the playoffs, it was like this.
It was not cool. No, it was not cool. It was not cool in the playoffs.
Yeah, but yeah, it's been wild, and also the development of Giddey as well, which is, I think, part of the reason why they're in the 10th spot right now, is that you have Shea obviously in place, and then Josh has just like flipped this switch where he's just really figured things out, like the shooting and the physicality and how to play with Shea, how to play without him, how to play with J-Dub. I mean, it's just been, it all feels like it just clicked December 1st. And it's like, okay, yeah, I'm ready to go now. And it's been like that for the last like 22 games for Josh, where he's 50, 40, 90 in that stretch.
Yeah.
And you're just like, is this real? Like, is he really doing this? It's just crazy.
He got like real malleable real quick. Like he got from, and I heard you mention this, I think with McKelly, but we're not that far removed from him not being able to close games at the beginning of the year. It's not long ago that was happening, and there was like hey, what's going on here? Like it didn't happen enough to where it was a gigantic thing, but it happened enough to register for sure. And we're just on another planet from like, as a player, he is so much more, he just looks super comfortable now. He looks like he just finally realized, I am huge.
Yeah.
I think that like, because I know that the numbers sort of bear out that the drives are like maybe a little bit down or the same. I'm not sure where they are now exactly, like as of today.
I think they're about the same, but he's just doing different things once he gets there.
I think last year, he wasn't as confident with his free throws, and I think it was also a thing where I don't think he trusted his touch as much on the shot. I think he trusted it like crazy pretty much everywhere else, like obviously on the passes, and even with some of the stuff he would try ball handling wise, like he would have some confidence there, but sometimes with the shot making and stuff like that, especially as he would kind of get in a crowd, you'd sort of feel like, I think that's why sometimes you could forget that he was 6'9", you know what I mean? Because he would.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't, he has that, he knows that now. Mm-hmm. And there is, I mean, in the Bulls game the other day, it was, I mean, Dosunmu's like 6'5".
Yeah. He's not tiny. Yeah.
Giddey is shooting over him like he's not there. He had it for Dosunmu. He had it for Caruso. He backed Caruso down a couple times. He hit the one that sort of, caught more attention was when he got Kobe White with that sort of Dirk fadeaway. And Kobe White looked upset afterwards. He looked like he was like, that's not supposed to be part of the deal. He looked like he was like, I said I would guard him, but he's not supposed to be able to do that.
That's how I felt watching it. Was like, are you kidding me? Did he just do that?
It was, he's just playing with more composure and a little bit more like a little more juice, a little more arrogance. Like there's some. I know you talked about with Nikias the other day whenever he gave Claxton the too small when he just,
Yeah.
I mean, Claxton's one of the best rim protectors in the league, and he just took him right off the bounce and put a shoulder into his chest, and Claxton backed down like a kid,
Yeah.
and it was no problem. And Giddey's having more and more of those where they're like, they're not straight line drives, and he's not even really getting to the corner. He's just kind of getting maybe part of his shoulder past the person, and he's just gigantic. He can finish with either hand, and guys, I think right. It'll be interesting to see like what kind of counters he come up with, because now it's almost it feels like guys stay home a lot because they're just so used to him driving to pass. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
At a certain point, defenses will adjust, but I don't know, man. It's just been his. There's just something with the attitude there too. I think that's been really, really encouraging. Like, he doesn't get sweet out there, right? Like he's there. There's
mean now. He's mean now, and I like that.
There's an edge, and he'll and that. I mean, he's still very much like you see his face. He's a boy, but he's getting now to where he's realizing like, oh, I'm stronger than a lot of these guys that they're putting on me.
Yeah, he's one that I do feel like I have to frequently check his age just to make sure that I'm saying it right. When I'm like, he's 20.
Right.
And I'm like, is he really 20? Is that can't be right. And then I go back and it's like, yep, yeah, he is. An underrated play from that Nets game. I think it was like early on in the second quarter. He just runs over Joe Harris and scores over him. And this feels nice, but it also feels a little disrespectful, is that he helps him up after
I did see that. Giddey is looking for his more in transition now, and it's very exciting because that's like another place where he's realized how tall he is, because he's going right to the rim now. He's not worried about like he's way more confident finishing down there.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's just. I mean, there was one. It was sort of I think it was against the Bulls. Maybe there was like kind of somebody poked it out, and Giddey and Shea kind of went for it, and Shea kind of let Giddey have it, and Giddey really got control of it around half court, and he had two dudes waiting on him, and it was just like nobody was there. And I don't think that happens that way last year. What I mean? And he finished over Levine in that Bulls game. Everybody that they put on him, I don't know. I think we forget how tall 6'9" is. 6'9" is so tall. It's different. It's so much taller than 6'6".
Yeah, he's huge. Yeah,
it's just and as he fills out more, like he's already taken bumps. I think he probably you want to see him get to the line more. I think he probably deserves a few more trips than he gets. And I think that as he gets smarter and a little wilier down there, I think he's going to learn how to, maybe embellish little contacts, seek it out a little bit more, maybe put some lifts on the front ends of some of these finishes so he can get guys in the air and bump them and stuff. But
that's the next step for sure for him. Like he needs to get 5. Like let's get 5 free throws a game. And if he does that, then we're like up over 20 points per game.
Yeah. Cause what's he at right now? He's taking like 2 a game.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's that much. I mean, he's.
No, I think he's just taking 2. He's taking 2 a game, like over his last 10.
Oh yeah, over the season, he's 1.6, which is just like, man, like Dort takes more than double what you're taking.
I know it's one of those things where I would be interested to see them. Like, there's been a couple times during this last little stretch where you see sort of all of a sudden one half of the floor is kind of cleared out for him. You know what I mean? And they're just kind of letting him work out of the post and see if a double comes and play out of it, that sort of stuff. But I'd like to see them experiment with him more down there and stuff. Cause I think he can really beat people up. I think he can really beat up some defenders, and the more they use him and Shea in fun ways in the pick and roll, like as screeners, as handlers, whatever. That stuff just becomes hell for a defense, especially if you've got either one of those guys attacking, an imbalanced floor, whatever, 4-on-3, like good things are going to happen. Those are the things where because they're starting to play together really, really well now. And that's been the thing that's so exciting. Cause I know that when Shea went on his run at the end of the year last year, Giddey was largely out. And so that was like a thing that was always kind of in my head a little bit.
They had that one game together. They had that one Phoenix game together.
Right. And that was the thing that was always in my head, not you're not worried, but you just can't not be aware of it. And it's the chemistry has been so encouraging, and the quotes have been so encouraging, and that they've both been able to get theirs and the team is playing well. You know what I mean? That it's not some situation where Josh is chucking 15 shots to, scrape 20, right? Like they're both, and it seems like they're getting the shots that they want, it's not fussy in that way. It's not some situation where LeBron and Chris Bosh both want to work out of the nail, but obviously LeBron's going to get to do that. So Chris it's not like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And they're both pretty unselfish players too, which helps. Like they're both willing to be the screener. And this is not me meant to bash on Westbrook, but Westbrook was never going to be the screener. That was just never going to happen. Never. And it was probably the right decision. It's probably good that he's not the screener. Maybe he's not a good screener. I don't know. Yeah. But the fact that they're both willing to screen for one another is very positive.
It's huge. It's huge. Just them. It's huge because that when Giddey was dreaming of coming into the league, he was dreaming of coming into the league as the featured ball handler and the guy that was running the show at all times, and for good reason, right? He's got the goods. And Shea, same story. And it would, I really think it says a lot about Shea as just as the main dude in the locker room, that he's able to share the spotlight like this. And it's not just Giddey's the only guy that's eating, right? Shea's happy it seems like Shea's happy for Jalen to take these possessions and stuff like that. It's not some, you're not going to see Shea yelling at Kenrich because he took a 3 too quick or something like that, and scaring or scaring J-Dub into not wanting to play make or something like sometimes Russ could do with Sabonis or whatever, right? It's not there's a good there's just a good energy there from him, and he seems like the type of guy that guys are going to want to play with, just especially as he gets older and older, because you can tell with the other dudes in the league, the respect is now very much there with Shea. It's he's everybody is realizing the level that he's at now. It's not, it's really exciting.
Yeah. Question from the chat. Blood Phantom 81 wants to know, yo, Andrew, how responsible is Chip for Josh's improved shooting? He is, if we're talking about a pie, he's probably, a good 60% of the pie, I would say. He's not all of it, because the improvement started before he got here. But the things that he did with him, once he had already made some progress, was it just unlocked some things mentally. And then the whole guide hand thing too was definitely a huge part of it. And that's definitely Chip. And there's a reason they brought him in. There's a reason I don't know what they're paying him, but it's a lot.
Right.
And they brought him here to basically be Josh Giddey's coach. Because if he becomes this version of Josh, I've already seen over the course of the last 20 games, this is a good team now. They're the 7th best team in net rating in the last 22 games.
Yeah.
And it's because Josh, you have to guard him and you have to play him. And in that stretch too, like I'm always kind of looking at the 2-man lineups and like how are we doing here with the 2-man lineups? Josh and Shea are a positive. On the season, they're actually kind of a big negative, but through this last stretch of games, they're just barely positive. But like that's great. Let's see that progress. And the thing that should give Thunder fans just an outrageous amount of hope is the positive 2-man group of Shea and Mike Muscala, and how constantly that 2-man pairing is always positive. And during the stretch, they're a plus 20.
Yeah.
They're a plus 20. The offense is 120. The defense is 100, which is crazy to think about. And 241 minutes, so it's not a crazy amount of minutes, but it's not nothing.
Right.
And that's where you can just get excited for the Chet experience, because Chet can do so much more than Mike. And all Mike does is shoot well and do his job and not complain. And that's what he does. And Chet is he's going to be like a super version of that. And if he can replicate any of that, I don't think people are quite prepared for what's coming next year with just adding him to the group.
That's been the case with Shea and Muscala for a while.
Yeah.
And it was it felt like one of the reasons maybe Muscala didn't get to play that much there for a couple. If the defense has to guard the guy that's screening for Shea, and if they've got to guard him like a shooter, and if they've got to guard him like a shooter, you got to kind of fly at, just changes everything.
Yeah.
And when you add in Chet's going to be able to catch, bounce to the rim, bounce, pull up, back to Shea, give and goes, or he's going to go to the rim. And that's obviously, and that's the thing that hasn't existed since Steve left, really. And it's going to be, I'm so excited to see what Giddey and Shea look like as playmakers once teams realize that they've got to guard Chet honestly, that they're not going to be able to play him to one thing, right? I really think the shot's going to be there, that it's not going to be something where they're going to be okay with him taking it. I don't know. It wouldn't be the first time I'm wrong about something, but it just seems, I really for some reason got a lot of faith in that shot.
Yeah. You're not the only one. I think a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah.
He's spending this entire time just shooting.
I know.
That's all that he's doing. That's what Chet has done this whole time, is just practice his jump shot, practice his free throws, practice.
I think an underrated aspect of Chet, and will be huge next year, just especially considering all the success that Shea and Giddey have had. He's proven that he can come into a team that has experienced a bunch of prior success with stars, and that he's happy to find his space there and his role, and he's not trying to make waves. You know what I mean? That's
totally
not every lottery pick, high lotto guy would be like that.
Yeah.
I'm just, because you see, and I feel like I probably said this last time I was on with you, but you see just how much the roster was built with him in mind every single game. And you see just how much he shores up so many of their lone defensive issue. He shores up, but they don't have a rim protector now, and he's going to be that. And he's clearly going to be, it seems like he's all the smart people think he's going to be pretty solid at that from day one. You know what I mean? Which is, and he's going to have had a year to kind of see how things work and study. And so no, I've heard you on your I think the last pod you did with McKelly and just sort of talking about how easy it is to get excited about next year's Thunder team. And I'm with you, man. It's hard not to like that. The Sixers game the other day, they had everybody.
It was ridiculous. Yeah.
And the Thunder ran away from them near the end of the third, and then the Sixers kind of made it interesting again, and then the separation again. But the Thunder looked really, really good in that game. Yeah. And last night I was at Crypto and saw the Sixers just run over the Clippers.
Yeah,
with Kawhi.
Yeah.
And Paul George. And so and looked pretty good doing it. You know what I mean? And so Embiid looked good, but I don't know. I think you're right that it's been Giddey's play that has unlocked a lot of this stuff. I think it's made Shea even tougher to deal with for defenses. Like I think the scoring stuff is a gigantic development, and I think that the more comfortable that he gets, the more he realizes that he can get into the lane, pretty consistently. I don't know about whenever he wants, but he can get past guys. Yeah. And he's big enough to be able to shoot over a lot of dudes, and he's got a floater package and some stuff now where he's comfortable taking it with an offhand. He's comfortable trying to get into guys' bodies at the rim. Now it seems if you're just projecting it out, right? It's I don't know, that small lineup when they have Kenrich basically, playing the five. It's just so fun now, especially when Jalen is really has it going. There's just so much for a defense to worry about, and Dort is just flying around cleaning up everything, and Kenrich is just so solid. It's just it's a fun brand of basketball to watch right now.
Yeah. I love that that's what they try to go to, and
it's so good.
Start games. Yeah, and you still have these kind of weirdo basketball players that are coming back from injury in Poku and Jang.
Right.
And it's what exactly do we do with these guys? What's going to happen with these two? That's also, I think it's definitely in the background of what's happening.
Right.
But I mean, if one of those guys just becomes one of your top 8, even, you're that's incredible. They're both 7-footers. They can both shoot, pass, dribble kind of stuff. I mean, it's pretty wild. And I think that we forget about Jang in particular, just because we haven't seen him that much.
Yes, I agree with you.
Haven't played that many minutes, but he was picked before J-Dub. And you can speculate on whether Sam and his people wanted J-Dub to be a part of the Clippers package. All you want.
I hadn't heard that theory. That's pretty great.
But
that's great.
I like that. If that is true, I'm totally in. I'm in on that.
Oh, that's really funny if that's true.
But the fact that, they paid 3 first-rounders to get this guy.
Yeah. So
that's just another piece that I don't think it's certainly not being factored in right now, on a national level. Hey, they kind of got this other lottery pick waiting in the wing. I know we think about Chet a lot, but what if Ousmane Dieng figures it out 70% of what we could hope for? That's a really good player still.
You just start thinking about, there are a lot of teams that have lineup flexibility.
Yeah.
But there are not a lot of teams that have lineup flexibility and length at every single position that is also flexible. You know what I mean? Like there's the lineup flexible that's like, no, we're the Suns and Cameron Payne's playing really well, and we'll go, Cam Johnson's our 5 or whatever.
Sure.
But then it's not like there's I don't know. I'm not making any sense, Andrew. What am I saying? It's like there's the Thunder have
There's nothing weird to it. There's nothing like funky. Like, yeah, you're taking a 4 and making them a 5. Congratulations. Everybody's been doing that for the last decade. But
and it's also like, you know, campaign these dudes, like campaign Chris Paul, even Booker, like they're not going to be able to go down and like guard 4s. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like the Thunder stand to have like a bunch of dudes that can do that. And maybe even, and maybe you even bump it up to 5s, you know, at a certain
Well,
point,
it's why
depending on the lineup that's out there.
Chance to work is because of the size that they have at 1, 2, and 3.
It's you think about like, well, you just think about what a defense is looking at right now. Whenever you've got Giddey and Shea and Dort and Dub out there, and just the wingspan is bonkers, and all of them are, you know, varying degrees of active. Dort is but even more of a madman now. I think that he's like, as the defense around him has solidified, it's enabled him to go a little bit, or feel like he can go a little bit even more hardcore in some situations. Yeah. And he is playing so hard at different stretches. It's one of those things. It looks like some of those like you know, almost pre-prime Russ, where you're just like, there's so much energy here. Like he couldn't stop his legs if he tried. You know what I mean? I mean, Dort against the Bulls the other night, Muscala wins the tip. Dort's at the rim getting fouled with less than like 3 seconds off the clock. He starts the game at a sprint. Like he's a lunatic. Yeah. And so it's like, I think that it's like a lot of guys get billed as scrappy and play with physicality and tough or whatever. But like his effort is uncommon on that. Yeah. Like his on-ball defensive effort, like as like an on-ball defender and a dude who like is trying to cause problems. The energy, I think, is like special.
Yeah, I mean, you can just see it in the way that he draws offensive fouls.
Yeah.
You know, just like if you're going to try to screen me, cool, I'm going to run through you and it's going to be a foul on you. Yeah. You know, that stuff, I mean, he's good for one almost every single game.
It's when I realized the other day, like he was so developed physically when he first got to the league. I think that I've like let that make me forget how young he still is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Because he's years away from being like his best self as a defender, right? Like he's only going to get like there's still some off the ball issues, right? Like if he can get to where he's able to, you know, chase and, you know, not lose like shooters who can do multiple things and things like if he can get to that point where the off ball stuff is just as kind of like rabid as the on ball stuff, that's the defender that you have to have in today's. I mean, these point of attack guys, you just have to have them now. The lead ball handlers in the league are too good, too physical, and like the guard play is just helter skelter. I mean, like you've got to that he is a guy who could go out and guard Ja, and then you could theoretically put him on Tatum. You know what I mean? And like, you know, and you don't think that that the defense is going to go to hell in a handbasket in either situation. You know, like those are two very different players. And as a dude who just can sit down in a stance and try to keep the ball in front of him, there's not a bunch of guys. There's, you know, you don't need more than one hand, right? Like it's real. Yeah. I don't know. It's, I've been, you know, sort of, I think, unfair to Lou as anybody with just sort of like, well, yeah, but Lou, you got to not shoot so much, man. Whenever all these guys are healthy and back and the team's, fully stacked, you got to not shoot as much. And I think it's just sort of like I think I can forget just the value of having a guy like that who he's been a scorcher from the corners weirdly for a couple of years now, maybe even 3. He was like hitting like in the like high 30s, I think, maybe even, at that point. Above the break stuff is a little yucky, but like the corners have always been so nice in such an interesting way.
47% this year, 42% the year before.
Yeah.
Second year, 43%.
Yeah, it's just it's so funny how good he is there compared to everywhere else. But if he's just that.
Yeah.
And Chet plugs in all these connector holes and Giddey's shot remains consistent and Shea's just what he is, and Dub continues to develop, and they keep getting him these. I'm so these on-ball reps they're getting him. I'm so happy, Andrew. Yeah. It's like that they're actually giving him like a proper kind of on-ball pick and roll diet is so exciting.
Awesome. Yeah,
and it's so cool. It's. I was complimenting Shea earlier. We're probably not saying enough things about how Giddey's been cool with kind of sharing the spotlight.
He shares those reps in the fourth quarter when Shea's
super cool.
Yeah.
It's super cool. And yeah, man, I don't know. I can't remember where I was going with this. They stand to, there's 3 dudes right now that when they have the ball and it's, close in the fourth, I'm really excited that they have the ball.
Yeah.
Shea, Giddey, and I mean, Dub is not on the same level as those other 2 guys, but he's proved like that pace that he has is special. And he is not like, he sees the whole, he's going to see the whole thing. He might not see the whole thing just yet because he's still so young, but he's got that, like, chessboard kind of outlook. And there's a rhythm that he plays with that is so calming, but also it seems like impossible for a defense to figure out. Like he has these like insane physical tools, the 7'2" wingspan, all this stuff. He's dunking everything. It's great. But like, you can tell the brain is special there. Like you can tell that that's a guy that is because you see it on the cuts and the passing. It's on like both sides of the ball offensively, if that makes sense, right? Like you see the intelligence on a lot of different levels, and they're using him as a screener against I think it was the Nets or the Bulls. They would kind of like stick him in the middle there, and he, he'd be the guy attacking these 3-on-2s or whatever. And it's just, you feel like you're in a great spot, Yeah, no, I'm all over the place. I'm sorry, Andrew.
Yeah. Now he shoots 75% from 0 to 3 feet, which is the craziest thing. Like, he can get there and then he can finish in so many different ways. I mean, he's the best on the team at finishing at the rim. I mean, Shea takes a lot more difficult shots at the rim just because everybody is zeroed in on him. But he's like, Shea is 65%. Like, that's great. I mean, he's shooting 21% better at the rim than Dort, which is like, that's a big number. A really, really big number.
That's pretty big.
Tyler, what do you got going on at the Ringer? Plug something for me.
Plug something. They got me doing these. They did a special build kind of website this year for the season, and they're calling it NBA Ranked, and there's some of the NBA writers. I think it's Pina, Kyle Mann, Mahoney. was, I forget the whole voting crew there. They did like a whole 100, top 100 and
Yeah. Tell them that Josh Giddey needs to be in the top 100, by the way.
Is he? I haven't even checked the
I
last.
just looked at it. They updated it recently. I looked, and like some of the names I'm reading in like the 80s, I'm like, come on, guys.
I bet that changes on this next iteration.
Like I know Waz will never put Giddey in his top 100, even if Giddey wins the MVP, and like that's okay. Like I love Waz, but this other guy should be better.
No, I would be surprised if he wasn't on there after this. But they asked me to do this, basically called the league pass value player rankings, and it's just sort of ranking dudes based off of watchability and how exciting, interesting, dramatic, whatever they are. And it's been fun. We're basically doing like a top 20, and it's all very arbitrary. The whole thing I say is it is fluid and frequently wrong. And there's just ridiculous criteria that has no bearing on anything in the real basketball world whatsoever. But it's sort of like, hey, you've only got a few minutes to watch a game some night. What's a guy I should watch?
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got those. Those will get updated. They'll be updated throughout the season. That'll be kind of my main thing. They'll usually happen about twice a month, usually once every couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's good stuff. You should go check it out at theringer.com. Thanks so much for listening, and we will talk to you guys again on Friday.